Alrighty then, welcome to yet another exciting episode of the Online Prosperity Show. As you know, this is the show where we unpack the journeys, the ideas, and the strategies of world-class experts who are actually solving real-world problems so you can actually go out and build a successful business and a more fulfilling life. I'm your host, Prosper Taruvinga. And if you've maybe ever felt trapped by the business that you've worked so hard to build, then maybe today's conversation is for you. As I said, you'll be hearing directly from the people that are actually creating the methods and the frameworks and also the ideas that are changing the industries they're working with. And today's guest helps law firm owners discover that they don't have to choose between growing a successful practice or having a life. They can actually have both. So if you know a law firm owner or practice owner who's currently working but never feels free, or you're trying to invite them to an event or a party or something, and they always have the next case hanging on them, then you're going to want to share this episode with them. And obviously, before you do, make sure you too are subscribed to the Online Prosperity Show so you don't miss out on any conversation that will help you be, do, and have a happier existence. All right. So, for those that are meeting us for the very first time, I wanted to introduce you to Gary. Gary, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Prosper. It's my pleasure to be here with you.
Absolutely. Now, obviously, for those that are meeting Gary for the very first time, Gary helps lawyers, become freer and not busier. And this is something that a lot of lawyers grapple with because every time that they are starting their business or they are working, they obviously want to grow more, hire more, and work harder. But Gary says they've been asking the wrong question. Instead of asking, how do I grow? He wants them to ask, how do I build a business that gives me my life back? And that's a conversation that not only lawyers, but every other business owner really needs to hear. And what's really exciting about all of this is the people that he works with actually built in 6 minute increments. So, Gary, I have to ask, every time you are trying to tell a lawyer to slow down, do they start billing you already because then they think they're missing out on their billable moments?
Well, it is tough. I mean, they've been programmed over the course of their career, and I can't imagine what it would be like to live in 6 minute increments, basically. I mean, my fees are not based on time, they're based on impact and value. I don't bill by my hour or all that. I stay away from that. Um, so it's very important for your audience to understand. Although I've been in the legal sandbox, so to speak, for 20 years, all the strategies that we're going to talk about are quite applicable across all business owners. All entrepreneurs fall into the same traps, right? You're working, you're growing, it's you. You're the bottleneck. Everything comes through you. You never have a break. You're up, looking at emails at 11 p.m. You're working weekends. You miss your daughter's play, your son's soccer practice. You're missing dinners with your spouse. You're missing weekends. Barely get a vacation because you're checking emails and texts the whole time. I mean, I've seen this. It's one of the most stressful industries out there, and the pressure on lawyers is incredible. And a lot of time, unfortunately, unknowingly, unwittingly, they create this kind of culture themselves where they're afraid to let go of control. They don't build a culture that encourages collaboration and people taking initiative. They have everything come through them and they are the bottleneck. They have to sign off on everything. So there's some strategies we're going to dive into and talk about, but I do want to make it clear to your audience that yes, I work with lawyers. And by the way, Prosper, I have to say, I've been working with the most skeptical, highly critical, perfectionist human beings on the planet for 20 years. So if I can get any number of successes with them, imagine what normal entrepreneurs can achieve, right? Lawyers are tough. And you know what? In fairness, that's why we hire them, right? We hire them to fix problems or prevent problems, or pretty much that's the gist of it. Prevent problems or fix problems. So they're always in that, they're always in the weeds, right?
Mm.
And the mindset that it takes to be a great lawyer is absolutely opposite the mindset that it takes to be a great business owner and entrepreneur. So there's a lot of psychology behind this. The thing is that I've noticed over the years, I've always been fascinated. When I look back at my life, everything that I gravitated towards was like history and politics, sociology. It was always around people. And unfortunately, we as human beings, we do not make change until we hit a certain level of pain. So my clients don't just come to me when things are great. They're coming to me when they're into it, they're past startup, they're into it a few years, they've experienced a high level of success. Yeah, absolutely. They're growing, they've got a team behind them, revenues coming in, clients are repeating, but they're chained to their desk. They do not have any freedom. And they come to me when they've kind of reached the ceiling, when they recognize that they've gone as far as they can go, probably. And if they want to go to the next level, they need help. Then it's a question of where do they get help, from whom, from like how, is there a fit? So there's a lot of strategies on and around working from their strengths, building a team around them, letting go of control, properly delegating and instructing when you're delegating, following up. You know, the perpetual cycle that they fall into because they're perfectionists, right? And I know this well because I'm a recovering perfectionist myself. As an author of 4 books, you can't be a perfectionist. You have to let it go at some point. Many other artists fall into this trap where they're like songwriters or authors or other creative type people. They're always trying to get that extra, like perfect it. Well, the bottom line is there is no perfection anywhere in life. We are not perfect, and there is no such thing as perfection. Excellence, yes, absolutely, right? Striving for excellence. But I really understand these people because I know I've come from a perfectionist background. And when you write a book, at some point you have to say, I'm done. We have to let this go, and it has to go to print. And so I understand, I really do. But excellent is good enough. There is no perfection, and you're just going to be banging your head against a wall, stressing yourself out, trying to achieve something that is impossible. So there's a lot of hand holding, explanations, but these are intelligent people, Prosper. When they are given the right tools, when they're given the right direction, the right advice and strategy, they learn very quickly. That's one very amazing thing. It's amazing to see how quickly, when they're open to the coaching, they learn very quickly.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for opening us up with that. And I concur with you about the perfectionism. A lot of people that end up in these sort of, types of work and jobs, they really want to make sure that it's perfect. Because can you imagine if you're, representing somebody in a legal battle and then you miss out on some sort of technicality
Mhm.
detail, and that actually then concludes that whole particular case. But before you did mention, you didn't just start off doing this kind of job. Who was Gary Mitchell before OnTrac Coach?
Well, I guess my first career was performing music and theater. I've released a singer-songwriter. I've released music. I've performed all over the world. And then I didn't want to be a starving artist. It didn't suit me very well. A lot of my friends have gone on to Broadway and major shows in Toronto, and they've done very well for themselves. Film. But at 25, I started my first business, and I got a taste of it, and I really prospered. I've never looked back. I mean, I truly am a serial entrepreneur, and I feel very grateful that, I love to build, I love to create, and I get the opportunity not only to build my own thing, but to help other people build their dreams, right? Every day, building something new, something different, something bigger. So it's pretty amazing. So from that experience, of course, I made a ton of mistakes, as most entrepreneurs do, as most business owners do. I learned from those mistakes, gratefully. That brought me to Vancouver I was living in Toronto at the time when I started the first business at 25, brought me to Vancouver, and I got very much back into politics. I'd always been interested in politics. I grew up in pretty active family, door knocking and putting up signs during campaigns and things like that. And I remember going door to door with my father when I was 9 years old and listening, right? I mean, I didn't, I'm 9 years old. I don't know anything. So I'm listening and I was listening all, I couldn't believe I was so excited when I turned 18 and I could vote for the first time. I think I was even more excited than when I got my driver's license. Like that's how what a political junkie I was. So 2004, I ran for parliament in Vancouver. And thankfully, and I mean it sincerely, thankfully I lost. I went on after that campaign to coach a lawyer candidate in the nomination to get to be the candidate, right? That was an amazing, incredible experience. It was just him and me. I dropped everything else that I was working on, and it was intense. Hosting an event, writing his speech, coaching him on the speech, coaching him on networking, coaching him on media, building the website, getting a mailer out. Like it was really intense, but it was really cool. So after that, he won the nomination, and then he wanted me to be his campaign manager. And I'm like, I really don't want to do that. Anyway, I ended up being his campaign manager. So I'm coaching him, and he was a blank slate, literally, like zero experience in politics, very highly intellectual, Prosper, two master's degrees, law and geology. So double whammy intellectual, book smart, but not the street smarts. And I, by way of experience, I just had the path that was provided for me that I gained the street smarts, right? By learning, by trying things, by building things. So it was a very good mix. And he was like a sponge. He ended up being an amazing candidate. He was up against two veteran politicians in the campaign. And the last debate, which was televised a few days before the campaign, he actually won the debate. It was remarkable. It was remarkable the transformation that went through. So during that, his best friend, also a lawyer, suggested I look at the legal industry, that they really needed guidance and help with the similar types of soft skills required in business, building relationships, business development, marketing, things like that. So after I picked my jaw up off the pavement, thinking, wow, legal industry, they've been around forever. Like, haven't they figured it out? I did about 9 months of research. I looked at Australia, I looked at England, I looked at the United States and Canada. And back then, 2006, the concept of a lawyer coach, there really wasn't much going on in that genre. Coaching in business has been around since the 80s in corporate, right? Very much accepted, very much. It's a multi-billion dollar industry worldwide, but it was not in the legal industry. So I had my work cut out for me, right? Being an early adopter, a pioneer. But as serendipity would have it, the first chapter of the Legal Marketing Association outside of the United States was being formed in Vancouver while all this is happening. I went to the forming meeting. I networked. I met some veteran legal marketers from the US. Within a couple months, I was asked to join the board. So there was a lot of networking, meeting marketing people, did mock presentations. Again, still doing research, not trying to sell anything, trying to understand the industry, understand the needs of lawyers. I also had a lot of lawyer friends from my politics, right? So I met with them, confirmed the need for sure. And it didn't take very long for me to get my first client. And you know what he said to me, Prosper, because he looked at a couple of people that were already pretty much experienced in the market in Vancouver from a legal marketing background. He said, the reason why I chose you, Gary, is I already know how to be a good lawyer. I want what you have. I want the entrepreneurial mindset and drive. And it was like, that's very cool that he said that, because he kind of framed my ideal client at the time. Now, in the beginning days, it was primarily around business development, helping individual lawyers build their own book of business, right? They're not taught that anytime law school, or even when they first arrive at a firm, there's no training for it. And keep in mind, right, they are focused on the practice of law, right? Keeping up on the whatever's going on in the world they practice in. Laws are changing all the time, highly intellectual. So that's where it began. As soon after my first book was published, I began, well, actually, I smaller firm owners started reaching out to me. And I noticed that they could make a decision, much like the candidate and I did in the early days, right? They could make a decision overnight. Meanwhile, larger firms were taking months to decide on whether they would invest in their office managing partner. So I'm like, this is crazy. I don't want to work with the bureaucracy. So I started focusing more on smaller firms. And then it was about 2 years ago, I finally really niched within the niche and work exclusively with the smaller firm owners. It's entrepreneur to entrepreneur, and we get stuff done. We get stuff done very quickly. Again, the typical client has already had a level of success. They're probably doing 1.5, 2 million plus in revenue a year, but they feel stuck. Now, interestingly enough, a firm in Toronto, I worked with this guy a few years ago between 2018 and 2020, and we were talking about the book launch, and he was getting every single email with every single detail. I've still yet to nail him down and have the conversation because there's an example of someone who's extremely successful. When I was working with him, he had 5 lawyers. Now he's up to 20. I'm not sure if he's 40 yet. Like he's really done well. Okay. But he's tied to it. He's absolutely tied. Every single thing goes through. I mean, if the details about an event that has nothing to do with law are going through his email chain, I can't imagine what his inbox is like, really, right? And that's just an example of the control. They need to have control. It's part of their personality trait. They want to have control because of the perfectionism, right? And many times they've hired in a rush because they're at capacity or past capacity, so they make the mistake in hiring. They're not properly onboarding. They're not properly giving instructions. So the lawyer fails, and it perpetuates the cycle because when the lawyer fails, they have to go back to the owner, the founder, and the founder has to do it all over again. So the founder says to himself or herself, I should have just done it myself in the beginning. So it perpetuates the cycle, right? So I really focus on teaching them how to build from their strength. They try to do everything. They can do a lot of things. As I said, they are very smart people. But my latest saying is just because you can do many things doesn't mean you should be doing many things. You should be delegating everything off your desk that isn't your strength, right? Your client work and you're growing the firm and strategizing, leading, becoming a better leader because you are a business owner. So there's a lot of hurdles, but the clients come to me and they're kind of self-selecting. They've realized they can't get further without help. And that's a tip on the ego, right? It's a hit to the ego, but they have a deep desire to build something beyond themselves. And they realize that, they can't keep that lifestyle up. They can't keep that pressure up. It's not healthy for one thing. Physically, it's not healthy. And it's certainly not good for any of their relationships with their family, their spouse or their kids, right?
Absolutely, and thank you so much for walking us through that because it just really gives us a glimpse into the world that you're entering into. Like you say, this is something that obviously you had experience with and also have a wide array of experience from you having created your own business, so you viscerally understand what this actually means. Whereas some coaches are probably reading it off of a textbook and they're trying to get into an industry and work with people without any sort of track record that actually showcases who they are. Now, you
Yeah,
keep
I think that's a distinguishing feature, Prosper, because like I'm not just a coach. I am an entrepreneur. I'm a serial entrepreneur.
right.
And so I've done the marketing, I've done the media, I've done the communications and the politics. That's all marketing, right?
Yes.
It's all the same. It's all intertwined. So I'm not just from a coaching point of view, I'm entrepreneur to entrepreneur, and they respect that. I'm very down to earth, very practical, right? There's no fluff. I don't like fluff. It's a waste of
Mm,
time. And they
mm,
don't like fluff. Let me tell you, they really like how frank and down to earth I am because they don't have time to waste, right?
absolutely.
I mean, we can have fun too. I believe in having fun along the way and having a few laughs, right? Laughing at myself, laughing at them, laughing with them. But yeah, no, it is a distinguishing feature because there's a lot of business coaches out there that have taken courses or read a ton of books. I've read a ton of books too, right? All the business Bibles, entrepreneur Bibles, whatever. I'm always listening to. I've got a new one listening to. The Big Leap is what I'm listening to right
Mm.
now. I do Audible. I'm studying all the time, but I'm also like in it
Yeah.
as an entrepreneur.
That's the
So.
difference. Yeah, absolutely. And I like that. See, so many people, and especially the people that you're sort of working with. I once read somewhere that says people that have their name on the business have a visceral defense that they need to do in order to protect that name on there.
Yes.
A lot of legal firms, it's probably Mitchell and Co. or Taruvinga and Associates, you know what I mean? And the fact that it's their name on there, that's the reason why they want to make sure everything that leaves
Mhm.
that legal firm, sort of speaks to that. But you challenge something that almost everyone believes, that a lot of people believe that success requires sacrifice, and they think you got to sacrifice your time, your space, and everything else, like all of those things, just in order for you to hold on to that success. Now, why is this very difficult, especially in the legal sort of industry, and why hasn't anybody sort of started attacking it any sooner? Because they're missing out on really enjoying what they have built.
Well, I think it's not just legal, it's a perception out there in the world that you have to work harder, longer, tougher to succeed. And the expression "don't work harder, work smarter" has been around for a long time, right? I didn't invent it, right? That's no claim to fame. But the bottom line is see, many of and this is again not just legal, this is business people, don't often take a beat, don't often take a breath and figure out where is this all going. I sit down with my clients from the beginning, whatever stage they're at, and I get them to talk about what's the end game? Where's this all going? What's the big picture? What's your big, like I'm sure you've heard of BHAG, big, hairy, audacious goal, right? From Jim Collins. What's your BHAG? What's your why? Or what's your and, right? We'll get into the book, the and approach. And that kind of grounds them in motivating, like, sure, we're growing a business, but there's more to life than that, right? Without setting intention, people can just get caught up in the day to day, and the days go by, the weeks go by, the months go by, the years go by. And all of a sudden they're looking around going, what is this all for? Right? I've got a big house, I've got the cars, I've got this, I've got that, but I don't have any freedom. And that's because they didn't intentionally design the business to allow for freedom. Let me tell you, I'll give you a case study, a miniature case study. And actually, I dedicate the book to two people. One was my first client, and the other is this very successful tax lawyer from Long Island, New York. That's about an hour outside of New York City. She built okay, and that's another success story. Females in law, it's like a lot of the other conservative industries have been held back. So for a woman to build a successful seven-figure law firm, okay, that's one success. But her and is she did it, Prosper, only working in the office 2 days a week because her and was raising her two daughters. So she was working from home. None of her clients knew this. I'm interviewing her. This was the end of 23, December 23. I'm interviewing her, and she sits back near the end of the interview and has a big smile on her face. And she said, and it's quoted in the book, she says, "You can have it all. You just can't do it all on your own." That struck a chord. And that basically is the summation of the and approach. And all my philosophy when I'm helping my law firm owners is you need to build a team. You need to stop trying to do everything on your own. And that comes, from solo practice. They're doing everything. They're doing the marketing, they're doing the admin, they're doing the like stuff they should not be doing from the very beginning, thinking they're saving money when actually they're wasting money and leaving money on the table. So there's a lot of like helping them look at things from a different angle, right? My political background serves me well because I'm not afraid of going up against lawyers and having a discussion or debate. I have no problem with that because I'm very, very confident in what I'm saying because I've proven it over and over and over again. And I've seen the results with clients. So as hard as they may come at me, because they are, that's what they do, right?
Mm.
They're paid to argue a lot, whether it's in documents or in courtrooms, or that's why we hire them. But I'm not afraid to stand up for what I believe in because I've seen it over and over and over again, right? And
Mm.
my mission, I guess it's become a mission actually, because I feel grateful and gifted that I've been able to have this career. I get to help people as a way of making a living, and I get to build and create, and that's awesome. So I really dove down a couple of years ago and I thought, okay, I want to take this next level and I want to help these guys, and I say guys and in general, I want to help these lawyers actually really truly enjoy the fruits of their labors because they have invested everything. Like the schooling, the working, the hours, the grind, right? And making a few tweaks, helping them build a team, systems, processes, scaling for growth, and they can have a life. And to see the light come on in their eyes when the results start to come in, it's so rewarding, right? To see them, like it's almost like they just take a big sigh of relief, right? And again, everything we're talking about is applicable for all business owners, any business.
Mm.
Because like you said, when you got your name on the door, right? There's a certain level of pride and perfectionism that inherently comes with that. It's your reputation, right? And I always say, I always this goes back to the candidate, right? I always said, this is my advice, this is my strategy, but it's your name on the sign, the campaign sign. Well, with the lawyers, I say it's your name on the door, right? You always have the thought, I'm not telling you what to do. I'm not telling you you have to do this. I'm highly suggesting, highly recommending this is the course of action, but your name's on the door.
Absolutely, and thank you so much. And obviously, you did mention you well versed with some of these texts that are out there. So there's a book, The E-Myth by Michael
Yeah.
E. Gerber, that specifically talks about what you're talking about here, where if somebody is somewhat of a tactician, they are really married to the work, the processes, and everything else,
Yes.
and they forgo the actual business side of things. Whereas you're supposed to be obviously be the employer, be the lawyer himself, and also the business owner all at the same
Yeah.
time while still making it home for dinner with the kids, and all the soccer practices and things like that. And your entire philosophy just revolves around the one word
Yes.
and and
Capital. Yeah.
yes, yes. Now, tell us, where did that word become bigger than just any other normal English word and become a life philosophy for yourself and the people that you work with?
Well, I guess there's been in my own life personally, I've always been investigating spiritual pursuits, prosperity, abundance versus scarcity. And again, these are all mindsets, right? Prosper, they're mindsets, and we choose our mindset. We get to choose. That's a choice we make, right? I know the old cliche, right? The glass half full or the glass half empty. There's a reason why there's cliches because they're true, right? If you set out, if you set out without any intention, without any plan, and you just grow, you're putting fire out after fire out after fire out after fire out. But if you set out with intention to create a business, you have a plan, you execute on the plan. That's critical, right? You don't just have the plan sitting in the desk drawer. You execute on the plan, you build the team, you build the systems, you build the processes. I like to call it the plug and play. Okay. I like to keep things simple and have little acronyms right along the way to keep people reminding. When I'm motivating them, I just say Nike. What do you think about when you hear the word Nike?
Just do it.
That's right. That's right. So I use a lot of that because I'm a fan of like, snapping them into that the mindset of no, you're not the lawyer right now. You're the entrepreneur. Park the lawyer hat over here. We're talking about the business. We're talking about going from working in the business 100% to working in the business and working on the business. But you must have time for that. So we need to clear away the tasks that you shouldn't be doing. We need to find the people to do those tasks. They're going to do them better. They're going to do them faster, and they're going to do them cheaper. Time and time again, that frees you up to have that time to work on the business work on the strategy, work on the hiring effectively, taking the time to do the hiring properly. You know, one of my favorite books of all time is Good to Great, Jim Collins,
Jim
right?
Collins.
It's definitely a Bible to me for business, right? There's so much in it. And then there's the flywheel follow-up after that. Or is that good? That's Built to Last. That might be from Built to Last. I don't know. They're both amazing books, but Good to Great was the first one I read of his. There's so much in there. Get the right people on the bus, get them in the right seats, right?
Mm,
I would never forget those. So my thing is hire the right people, get them in the right roles, give them the proper instruction, give them the ongoing mentoring and development. Okay. Build your A team. Steve Jobs. We don't hire smart people so we can tell them what to do. We hire smart people so they tell us what to do. Yeah.
absolutely.
So you surround yourself with the most amazing people in their fields, right?
Mm,
You don't just hire a bunch of more of yous, whatever your strength is, right? I've had clients who truly love practicing law. They could spend all of their hours in the courtroom advocating for their clients. So we build the team around that. They don't want to manage the firm. They want to grow a firm. It's their name on it, right? But they don't want to be managing it. They really dislike marketing. They really dislike HR. Two of the most important components of growing any business. So we build the team with that in mind. Then there's another client who could leave the practice altogether. He really is more entrepreneurial bent, right? Then I was having a consultation with a lawyer in Toronto, first time ever, I will admit. He does zero law. He does not practice. He's full-time CEO of his firm. And in 3 years, he's built up to $2.5 million from zero to 2.5 million in revenue.
oh, wow. Wow.
Uh-huh.
I,
Yeah.
li-
But he's
I,
full-time CEO, right? Like,
Mm, I like that. You see, now this sort of now opens us up to the kind of people that you sort of work with, and you've already told us how it is that you're, helping make a difference in their world. Now, my understanding is lawyers don't ask you questions they don't have answers to. All right. Like if they're leading you on with a question and they're like, so were you there at that day? They want you to say, yes, I was, yes, I confirm, and things of that nature. So I would also venture to assume allegedly that and that's how they also operate their business. They want to go in using skills, tools, or whatever it is that they already have. Now with the people that you're working with right now, what do you find is the biggest mistake that the law firm owners are making when they're trying to grow? Is it their marketing, is it their leadership, is it their systems, or is it something completely different?
leadership.
Right.
Absolutely. Marketing's easy. Oh my God. Like marketing is really easy. Seriously. It's just gotten easier and easier as the years have gone on. The hardest part, it's the people part. It's the HR and leadership. And a lot of lawyers don't have the patience. Like we're talking about highly performing people, okay? Like lawyers in general, even an average lawyer is way above average in intelligence, okay? Like when we're looking at the general public. Law firm owners, they're on a whole new level. To have been able to take the risk, put that aside, and have some entrepreneurial bent, they're on a whole new level. So they have a very difficult time working with people less than, and I have to show them that people will never be perfect, but you can build an amazing team around you when you're strategic about it and you take the time. Often, and again, it's a cycle where they're so busy, they just hire someone, right? They just hire someone to get some help and they don't take the proper time to hire the right person. So the plug and play model, very simply, is you plug the right people into the right systems and processes and press play. That not only allows you to grow, that allows you to get out of the office, to go on vacation, to not be looking at your texts and emails every day when you're climbing a mountain or laying at the beach or whatever it is you want to do with your time. And again, this is not easy. Okay. It's simple. All my approaches and strategies, everything I advise my clients, it's very simple because simple works. It's not easy because of all the human components, right? I maintain that the hardest part of a business is the people part. It's not the technology. It's not the marketing. That's easy in the scheme of things. It's dealing with and leading other human beings to get the best performance out of them and
Mm.
sustainable. And they have a tough time with that. Now, for some reason, I have no idea why. I love that part. To me, I think it's like a puzzle, right? It's like putting a puzzle together and putting the different skill sets, personalities, backgrounds, and experiences together so that everybody is complementing everyone else. And you build a team that's humming along. Again, simple, not easy.
So usually when people have built it all up like this, they can't leave. And the moment they leave, even to go to court, by the time they come back into the office, everything is everywhere and
Everything's on fire.
everything is on fire. But you talk about building systems that don't actually depend on the owner to run, which is the ultimate goal of any other
Mhm.
business owner. Looking at you yourself, you did mention a couple of times in the beginning that you're a perfectionist yourself. What was the hardest system for you to let go in your own business?
Oh, probably social media and marketing. Like I have an EA and I've had people doing because I hate social media. I really do. I do social media in the morning. I'm never on my Instagram or TikTok. It's just purely for business. I have people doing that. I do Facebook in the morning and LinkedIn in the morning. I do Facebook mostly for keeping in touch with people I've met when I've traveled and I've kept in touch with high school and college friends and people I've traveled with, but I generally don't spend a lot of time on social media. So I have to accept that when I have other people do things for me, sometimes it's not going to be up to what I would really prefer to have out there. But I also have to realize, Prosper, that it's better than having nothing out there, right?
Mm.
And I hate it, so I'm not going to do it. And it needs to be done. It's a part of business now, right? It has to be done. So that was one I had to let go. To be honest, I'm just recording my voice to clone my voice, and I've come up with a couple of mistakes in the book. Wow, that's like after four of my own with AI, and then I don't know, four or five with the publisher editor. I'm like, how did that happen? I have to let it go, right? It's
Yeah.
printed. It's done. It's out there. Like there's for on a personal level, on a personal journey, I mean, my mother tried to teach me this in my 20s. It didn't land. I mean, I listen back, I look back and I go, I heard her, but it didn't land. There's a number of things I've been working on over the years. Letting go of the perfectionism, yes, I'm always going to strive for excellence, but understanding that there is no perfection and really focusing in on the things that I do have control over and then letting other stuff go. That has been a life work in progress, right?
Mm.
And it's probably one of the most valuable lessons we can learn. And, it's such a waste of time worrying about stuff I can't control, right? And yet I'm human and I'll fall into the trap once in a while and I have to, pull myself out of it and go, nope, put the race blinders on and focus in on the stuff that I can control. So I really help to teach them that as well, right? Letting go of what's out of their control. And keep in mind their personality. They like control. They really
Mm.
like to have control.
Absolutely. And obviously, knowing that all of these sort of translates into different industries, not just, sort of the legal firm. And if somebody's watching this right now and they're thinking to themselves, so what are the rules of engagement, or when do you normally want somebody to show up at your doorstep? Do you want them when they're literally about to be wheeled into hospital because they've lost
No,
their health, and the last place they have is when they've been they're on their way to the hospital, they pass by your office, or they've probably been put behind work bars, so to speak, and that
yeah.
one last phone call that they're allowed to have is to
I
you.
like the way I like your analogies. It's very clever. Hopefully, I get to interact with them before they have their first heart attack at their desk. Yeah. But no, it's and again, it's self-selecting. They have to have some awareness, right? They have to have some self-awareness of their limitations. And it goes back to their goals. They have to understand what it is they truly want to create. Do they want to keep spinning their wheels and be the highest paid employee? Do they want to like the highest paid full-time job? Or do they want to grow a business? And if they want to grow a business, they're going to have to let go of some of the control and some of the perfectionism. And I never moved people too quickly. I understand change takes time. Excuse me. And as I said, there's a certain level of pain that they need to experience before they're going to make any changes. There's very few people out there, and this is in general, that make changes proactively, right? Unless something has happened, unless something has alerted them to the need for change. So I'd like to have, like I said, the ideal client comes to me when they're at a point where they've had some success, they know some things that work, they've made some mistakes, they've had some pain points, and they've pretty much realized they've hit a ceiling. And to break that ceiling, break through that ceiling, they need to do things differently. And in order to do things differently, they need help. Now, the question is, where do they get the help, right? So they're not deciding whether or not they need help. They've made that decision. The only decision they need to make when they come to me is, am I the guy to help them, right? Am I the right person? Is it the right fit? They've already made the decision they need help. That's critical. I can't persuade somebody who doesn't want help, right? There's no point.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for that, because then it sort of allows people, like you say, to self-select. And talking of self-selecting, you also did mention a little bit earlier on that coaching had already been present in other industries, besides, the law firms or the legal industry. And I can only assume that there still might be, some sort of myths or misconceptions when it comes to, coaching law firms that maybe a few people haven't yet grasped. What are some of the misconceptions that people might have, especially when they're a lawyer and they think, wait a minute, if somebody's going to come and teach me, they're not a lawyer themselves, how are they going to know what is expected of us and how to actually run a successful legal enterprise?
Well, see, you're always going to have that type of person who would believe, okay, I'm not a lawyer, so what would I know about lawyering? But you're also going to have that person like my first client. He already knows how to be a lawyer. He wants to be more entrepreneurial. I'm entrepreneurial. I coach entrepreneurs. So he recognizes that's what he's getting. But there will always be the type of people that will, well, you can't possibly know my world. You're not a lawyer. Okay, whatever. I'm not going to argue with them, right? They're obviously closed to getting help. If they have the confidence to be, I mean, the bottom line is you could be an amazing lawyer and terrible at business, right? I remember a funny story. Early on, I did a retreat for like associates at a large firm. And part of my program is I interviewed about four of them. The firm gave me direction to go and interview four of them who were doing quite well within the marketing realm. And it was designed to show the other associates what's possible and how they can go out and build their own book of business. So one character gets up and he's talking about what he's doing for marketing. And then he says at the end, he goes, I had to become great at marketing. I'm a terrible lawyer. But so then the crowd chuckles, blah, blah, blah. And I said, okay, wait a minute. But doesn't that get your goat that the guy across the street is half the lawyer you are, but he's got 3 times the amount of business because he's good at marketing? Doesn't that make you like angry? That gets under their ego. And it's like, yeah, like I'm a way better lawyer. And they could be, right? They could be way better lawyer, but they're not good at business. One senior partner with an international firm, I was working with him, and he goes, why is it that most great lawyers make terrible business people? We laughed, and I said, it's all about the mindset. It's the left brain versus right brain. Prosper, like the left brain, analytical, critical, skeptical, all of that. Again, serving them well in serving their clients. I say they've had Olympian level training on the left brain side. Whereas the right brain, innovation, communication, empathy, EQ,
This kind of
collaboration,
stuff we're
all that.
doing here.
Yeah, exactly. They've been binging Netflix on the couch. So
Mm.
I have to get the right brain off the couch, off Netflix, and to the gym, so to speak, and exercise those skills. And again, they are smart. So when they're given a direct line, when they're given proven strategies and an approach, they learn very quickly. They just haven't been shown this.
And I think it's a lot of industries, especially when it's a very technical thing. And you did
Yes.
mention an ego, because the whole success of a legal, setup is the lawyer walking out, beating his chest that yes, this is yet another case in the bag and things of that nature.
Mhm.
But obviously, there's going to be a lot of filing and paperwork behind the scenes. And if all that crumbles, then whatever that win means nothing if all the paperwork is not then followed up on and things of that nature. Now, for those that are maybe watching this, listening, and they have self-selected and they want to know what sort of the next step, tell us a little bit about what it is that they can expect when they work with you and how they can get a hold of you.
Okay. Well, first thing what I do is, and first of all, it's never high pressure, Prosper, because this is like coaching is not you get it or you don't, right? Like
Right.
you will know. It's like a trainer going to the gym. I've had so many trainers over the years. I like a friend of mine. He's funny because I was down in Mexico. I hired another trainer and I had him on because I'm getting older now, so things have shifted, right? Priorities have shifted. And so specifically, I had the trainer audit. I have a 3 day regime, which I do twice a week. So he came to the gym and audited my 3 day workout. He went away and he came back and he rewrote my whole program. And then he came back and we worked through it. And I've been working out for 39 years. I learned tons of new stuff from this guy, upped my game. So it is a mentality of never stop learning. My friend, a couple of years older, goes, "Well, I already know how to work out. I've got the motivation. What do I need a trainer for?" I'm like, well, okay, so you've stopped learning. You don't want to learn more. You don't want to so it is a mindset. Like, do you want to learn more? Do you want to take your career and your business to the next level? Are you willing to get outside help? So we can start off with a 15-minute casual conversation. They can book a full hour consultation. I'm going to be releasing, now we haven't got into the book, but this is the fourth book, The And Approach, How to Grow Your Law Practice and Gain More Freedom. In about a few weeks, we're going to have the companion chapter workbooks up on the website. So you read the book, that's good for information, but then you go to the website and you get into execution. It's almost as good as coaching. It's not as nothing will replace one-to-one coaching. You have that relationship, you have the focus that's purely on your skills, your challenges, your firm, your team, your everything, right? So they can get in touch with me on LinkedIn, Gary Mitchell on LinkedIn, OnTrac Coach, no K, so double C, ontraccoach.com. You can go to the website and download the first chapter of the book for free. And we're also going to be working on compiling 20 years of content into a client vault. And that vault will be accessible to all clients, but we're also going to offer a monthly subscription for non-clients who are more like DIY, right? They'd rather just read something and then try and execute on it. So there's a number of ways that you can get a hold of me. But the thing is, don't bother unless you've come to the conclusion that you need help. And now it's just a matter of finding out the right help. And it's no pressure. It's really about diving deeper into your situation, your goals, what you want to achieve, what's holding you back, what is that ceiling, what's missing, what do you need?
Absolutely. And thank you so much. I will make sure that all that information is on there. And you didn't mention, where can people go to on the internet to first of all maybe find out about that 15-minute
Oh
conversation
yeah, it's on the website.
to grab the
Yeah,
book. Okay.
ontrac.com, ontraccoach.com. They can book a 15-minute or they can book a full hour. They can download the chapter one of the book. They can buy the book from my website. It's on Amazon and there's a Kindle version and there will be an audio version. Well, the first week of at least by the end of the summer, we'll have the audio version out by the end of August. But right now there's the hard copy and the Kindle version on Amazon. If you look up the And Approach, How to Grow a Law Firm, you'll get the link on Amazon.
Absolutely. I'll make sure that all those links are in the show notes so that people can actually get a part of that. Now, one other thing that I really like about your journey, Gary, is you not only have been an entrepreneur yourself, so you're not only practicing what you preach, but you've also created time within your own life where you even have time to even, like you've been mentioning, going to the gym and things like that. So many
Oh, it's
people.
massive. Yeah. Yeah. I do.
Um,
I actually do. I have a routine. We have a gym here in the condo, so I'm part of the morning crew. I'm in the gym at 5 a.m. doing cardio to start the day, and then I end the day at the gym, the outside gym with weights. And
mm,
that is it. You know what, Prosper? I have to say at this stage, it's actually probably 80% mental health and 20% physical health. Like the physical is just bonus at this point. It keeps me motivated. It keeps me grounded. Like that's why I do the cardio in the morning to get me going, right? Motivated. And then I do the weights at the end of the day to decompress. Like normally we're recording this, we started around 5:30 p.m. in Vancouver. Normally I'd be at the gym at this time. So I went to the gym earlier
mm.
before that. But it works for me. And I have to do it. I have to do it. It's a part of my functioning at this level. And I notice if I miss a day, things go out of whack. I don't have the focus. I don't have the energy. So it's definitely a priority. Eating healthy is also a priority. Doing my own like meditation, I do that. Reading and listening to books. Feeding the constant learning. I love to absorb new information, new ways of looking at things. Yeah, I can't like I don't have I wish I had more time to listen to more books. Um, like there's so many good books out there, right? And but I'm listening every day. I make time
Yeah,
because it's valuable.
Gary, you can lift heavy things and listen to a book all at the same time, you
I
know.
know, I am. I am. I can work out and
And
listen to the audiobook. That's exactly why I want to get the audiobook version of the And approach out there because lawyers don't have time to sit down and read a book. So
abs-
they'll be listening to it at the gym or out for a run, walking the baby, walking the dog, in the car, on the subway, right? So I got to get the audiobook out because they're like me. They don't have like sitting down and actually physically reading a book. Okay, maybe on vacation.
Absolutely. Now, Gary, I can't thank you enough for the time that you spent with me on the call today. I mean, your life story and your experience have so much value for those that are watching and listening to all of this. But the people that you work with, they have a zero-sum game mentality. With lawyers, you either win a case or you don't win a case.
Mhm.
There's no either or. There's the one outcome and things of that nature. So, what are you hoping? Maybe if there's one thing that you would want somebody to just have a grasp of about the ant philosophy and how it will actually change their life.
Okay. So, in order to be successful growing a law firm sustainably, leaving a legacy, all that, you have to wear two hats. It's the bottom line. You have to wear the lawyer hat and you have to wear the entrepreneur hat. And as I said, right, left brain, right brain, all of that, it's a different way of being. And the clients who get that move very quickly. They understand that when I'm practicing law, this is the mindset. I don't change anything. We've got that down. When I
Mm.
am looking at the business, I'm putting my entrepreneur hat on. And it's a shift. And I also recommend that when they're, the change is as good as the rest approach, when they're down and dirty on complicated files or documents or preparing for court, they take breaks and they switch the hat over to the business side and spend a few minutes on the strategy, marketing, content, whatever it is. So it gives them a break and it also trains them. This is all habits, right? Another book everyone should get is James Clear, Atomic Habits, right? I
Mm.
listened to that 2 years ago, Prosper, and I was like, oh my God, I've been like teaching this for 18 years. Like, this is what it's all about, creating new habits,
Mm.
changing the way you work, right? So I'm a big fan of taking mini breaks and switching up what you're doing. And that's a great opportunity to take the time on the business. So you do get to put some time on the business, not just in it.
Absolutely. And what I'm hearing from you is you can't climb the ladder of success with your hands full. Now, I can't thank you enough, Gary, for the time that we've spent on the call. I mean, you shared your knowledge, your journey, and I think today's biggest takeaway is success shouldn't cost you the life you're actually trying to build. Because
That's
so
right.
Yeah, so many people are building, yet they're taking away, and it just doesn't really showcase what it is that they are building. So thank you so much for
Well,
that.
well, thank you. And you want to end on that. I think it's really, really critical that people truly define what success is for themselves, right?
Mhm.
My job is not to tell you what success should be. I'm not going to tell you to go to the gym. I'm not going to tell you to take vacations. I'm spending the winter in Mexico. I'm working with a trainer. I'm going to the gym. I'm going to amazing new restaurants. I'm a foodie. I'm cooking new food all the time because I love it, right? I'm not telling you what to do with your life. I'm not telling you, I'm not defining success for you, but do yourself a favor, define success for yourself. And then with intention, look at your business as a way of supporting the road to that success. And
Absolutely.
if it's just growth and money, I'm not judging.
Absolutely. And I think what you've just done is give people permission because I don't think anybody had actually given them a language to express what success actually means to them. Now, for those that are watching
Mhm.
right now, if today's conversation really challenged the way you think about business, I encourage you to share this with maybe your lawyer. He might actually be burning on both ends and not realizing, that they are actually, depleting themselves of the success that they should be receiving. And not just lawyers, but other business owners or entrepreneurs that are in your network. Somebody out there probably believes that they have to choose between success and freedom. Why not both? And I think with what Gary has written and shared to us today, I'll be putting all those links so that you can actually get in touch with them. And while you're at it, don't forget to subscribe to the Online Prosperity Show, as we're always bringing you all these conversations from experts that have figured it all out. Until then, I hope you will leave, learn, and contribute for those that are in your world. Bye for now.